Hello there and welcome back to another video. This is the second video in my sort of week celebrating 15 years of Lego. For me personally, I know just after Lego Ideas, so it gets a bit confusing, but yesterday I looked at my very first set that I got. In fact, it was a Star Wars Battle Pack. Of course, that is one of my most recent sets as well, so we will be comparing the two and perhaps even another Battle Pack in a video later this week. But today we're getting on to a secret Lego set that also came out 15 years ago, 2009, part of the same wave as that battle pack we reviewed in yesterday's video. And if you played the Quest for R2-D2, which was a fun game, it was sort of like the other Lego Star Wars games, the Complete Saga, the original trilogy, the Clone Wars, now the Skywalker Saga. It was along the same lines, only much, much simpler than the big games, because you had to collect crystals and ultimately the end game objective was to find R2-D2. You got to play as 4 characters. I think there was Anakin, Obi-Wan, Asajj Ventress, and I think Count Dooku was the last one. So correct me if I'm wrong, but those were the 4 characters you got to play. It went pretty much in that order. You did the light side first, and then you might have actually had to have played Anakin, then Asajj to unlock Kenobi and Dooku. But ultimately, every time you completed one of these characters' storylines, you got an instruction booklet. And I only completed the first 2, which was great because I got the first 2 instructions already saved to my computer. It was the other 2 that I had to search far and wide for, but I did find them in the end and managed to get all the pieces which you would have had at the time if you bought every single Star Wars set from that 2009 wave. The same one that the Clone Wars Battle Pack was in. It included ships like the Venator, which alone were quite expensive to get. So if you did manage to buy all of them, which I definitely didn't have the chance to, you could unlock these 4 instruction booklets and build for yourself the Malevolence, which is massive. I mean, I have no idea where this is going to go on my displays. It's pretty much the width of the camera angle you're looking at. I don't know exactly how long this model is, but it's probably about the size of the Venator, if not a little bigger. I think when I tried to stud this out to scale it with an actual Venator ship, this was something like 68 studs, which when I built the Venator, that was only 66, so it's slightly longer than the Venator. The base does pop off, and actually this was the first instruction booklet, which compared to the ship really isn't that many steps, so it didn't help me that much. The first instruction builds the stand. The second instruction, I think, builds sort of the body of this main bit here. The third booklet then builds this whole bit, which is held on by 4 Technic clips. I think mine is even held on by 3. And then you've got this bottom bit here, which is clipped on with a few hinge plates, and I will say for the time it is built very, very well. And that's not to say other Lego ships at the time weren't, because as you've seen, the Clone Walker does sort of hold up to today's standards at that price. So Lego are always going to keep improving. We've seen 15 years of improvement with all the techniques. But some of the techniques on this ship I don't think I've really seen in a Lego model. And some of them, especially this here with the brackets clipping them upside down, some Star Wars ships could really do with. Now, with that said, we haven't exactly seen a model like this, besides the Super Star Destroyer we got only last year, May time, and hopefully this year we'll get a few more. I know there's a rumour of a Tantive and a Falcon, and it'd be really nice to see a few more of this sort of scale of model, but they're about half the size of this. So this is my custom mock Venator and the official Lego Super Star Destroyer, all in one for the Malevolence. The piece count is not too bad when you see how big it is, but it is still quite a chunky piece count. There are some pieces like this sloped wedge here that I just didn't have. You can see them in dark red. And I think there's another piece just down here on the bottom that is in that same dark red colour, because I didn't have the piece that goes along here. There's some rare pieces here, but you can build this out of mostly your own parts if you've been collecting Lego for as long as I have. So I'm very happy to finally have my hands on this. Honestly, I dreamt of getting the Venator one day, but I never dreamt of being able to build this set. So to be able to build this set so long later, and now to make a video for you all to see, because Many of you won't have been collecting Lego 15 years ago, and if you were, you might not have been aware that by playing a little online game, it was for free on lego.com. You didn't even have to buy the game. You could unlock instruction booklets, and even if you got that far, how many people do you think would have actually built this model? As I said, you had to take apart ships like the Venator and so many other models. I'll in fact list them all just here on the screen so you can see how many models you had to pull apart just to build this one ship. So many parts weren't used, and I will be honest, Lego designers have done an amazing job putting this together out of all the parts they've had. It's a very sleek design, you can see. It looks like the actual thing as well. So I will whack a comparison image on screen and try not to cover half of it, but the details to even the Technic pieces used in this build are just astonishing, and I'd love to see Lego do something like this today. Now, that being said, they're a bit more diverse today. We don't get whole waves of Clone Wars. But if there was a build where you could buy so many midi-scale ships, buy a Star Destroyer, buy a Falcon, buy all these ships and piece them together for a giant Death Star, that would honestly be really cool and would get loads and loads of collectors, probably even buying 2 of the midi-scale ships just to build. So 15 years later, this model still holds up, and I think I am going to display this somewhere in the back. It's not fitting on one of my shelves. I've sized it up. It's half the size, and that's the reason I shrunk the Venator down, so I could fit other builds on it and not just have a shelf to 2 models. So it'll be somewhere behind me. I think I'll probably try and whack it behind these brick heads here. I'm not sure if it'll fit because the base it comes on is pretty thick, but hopefully I can get this model put up because, again, it is just an amazing model, and I really I'm lost for words when it comes to things like this. The fact that Lego have put out instructions and you can build this for yourself, have a model this big, it's something you usually see in the micro scenes when you were at Legoland, when they had the license to display Lego sets, or nowadays in Lego stores where you got the big figures. Of course, I've just made my big fig Captain Rex, which is somewhere around here, and it's just really a dream come true. So thank you to all your support. We're not quite done yet. I have built a scaled Venator, and we'll be comparing it to my other Venator because this ship is absolutely huge, and honestly I did not know how big it was. In fact, the scaled Venator is right here, and I don't think we need to go to the desk for this one. I think I'll just show it off here because it's really just not gonna fit on my desk. But compared to how big this Malevolence is, this is how big a Venator sizes up. So I built this, I think this is 16 studs long, which makes it about 8 studs wide if you are interested. And if you decide to build the Malevolence for yourself, if you don't, I don't blame you. It's a very long and complex build. It's not repetitive at all. I think the only things you actually have to repeat are these side bits along here, which obviously you'll need for the other side. But even then, the top bit is slightly different because it's a mirrored piece, and the bottom pieces are so few pieces that it barely feels like you're making 2 of them, and you can just put them together all at once. So this is the scaled Venator, and you can dock it using this nice translucent piece that I have clipped to it to the actual Malevolence, so you can reenact some sort of battle. I mean, honestly, the bridge is about the length of the Venator to scale, so you can see this will look amazing up on the shelf behind me. And this ship, as I've said, is massive. Just to compare, this is the size of the Malevolence to the Star Destroyer, so we can say it's about 4.5 times, maybe even close to 5 times as big. Now, if we put down this Malevolence and take a look at my custom mock Star Destroyer, which does actually fit on my display shelf, and the instructions are unrebrickable. This is made using the original Venator pieces into some sort of MIDI scale, which is heavily inspired by the Super Star Destroyer we got again May last year, which still would be lovely to get my hands on. It's just a bit out of my price range. But as you can see on this Venator, there's a little 1x1 cheese slope, and that is representing the scale of a gunship compared to the Venator. Now, I know technically the gunships come out here and are usually going down towards the planet, but I guess on a technicality, they can go through this middle bit here. This is just to show off how big a gunship is, and come May, if I'm lucky enough to pick up the gunship for the Star Wars holiday, and especially if it is on some sort of sale or promo, then we'll be able to see just how big the gunship is to a minifigure. I'm pretty sure the set's about minifig scale. If not, I might have to tinker with it. I am a sucker for minifigure scale builds, but this Star Destroyer is, this Star Destroyer is massive compared to minifigures. I wouldn't know how big it has to be. I know the UCS one is nowhere near minifigure scale, and minifigures are about the size of studs compared to it, so how big the Venator is, and then we have the Malevolence, which is even bigger than the Venator. It's just unimaginable when it comes to Lego builds to see a ship like this in scale. This is the bridge, so people will be chilling around there, and you see with the images in the Clone Wars just how big the bridge is for the Malevolence, let alone how big everything else is. I think Padme's ship, when it accidentally bumps into either this one or the Invisible Hand, they're roughly similar scale. Not the same ships, but roughly similar. Would probably be a fraction of a stud, just like the gunship to the Venator. So I'm very happy that I got to build this and show it off in today's video. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. It will be making a permanent feature in the back of the display, so keep an eye out for it in all of my future videos. And I hope you enjoyed, because I had so much fun building it. If you'd like a closer look to the techniques, I can give you a rundown of the build, but honestly, the instructions are out there somewhere. If I can find a link to all four, then I'll leave it down in the comments below and you can build it yourself. As for the Venator, if any of you want to know how I built my scale Venator, I'll be able to whack up the instructions on Rebrickable for free, or probably even post them in the community tab. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all your support, and especially let me know in the comments below if you are enjoying my video so far for 15 years. This whole week we'll have 7 videos dedicated towards something special like this ship, like my very first set yesterday, and all the videos to come based on my 15 years of Lego. So don't go anywhere, do subscribe so you don't miss out, and drop a like on the video if you do like this model. It is absolutely massive. I cannot stress that enough, and I just don't think I could ever have the ability to take this down. It just looks so good. So thank you all for watching, and may the bricks be with you always.